take the time to learn to prompt properly, because that's where the good stuff is.
You're listening to the Affiliate Marketing Podcast, brought to you by Affiliversemedia.com, the chapter and verse of everything you need to know about running a successful affiliate program for your business. Now, here's your award-winning affiliate and performance marketing host, an industry veteran, your affiliate marketing guide, and the founder of Affiliverse, Lee-Ann Johnstone.
What if the secret to supercharging your marketing efforts was hiding in plain sight? While everyone's buzzing about AI, most marketers are still scratching the surface of what's possible. In today's episode, we're diving deep into the AI revolution with Heather Murray, a marketing veteran who accidentally stumbled into the world of artificial intelligence and generated $75 million in revenue as a result. Curious about which AI tools actually deliver results? Well, Heather's breaking down her 3 C's framework that transforms mediocre AI content into marketing gold. And if you're tired of sending affiliate outreach emails that go straight to the trash folder, you won't want to miss her game-changing approach. From decoding AI bias to revealing which tools are worth your money, spoiler, it's not always ChatGPT, this conversation goes beyond the hype. Heather's sharing insider secrets on how to use AI note-takers to build stronger affiliate relationships, and the one simple mindset shift that separates AI masters from the masses. Whether you're an affiliate manager drowning in recruitment or a publisher looking to scale, this episode of the Affiliate Marketing Podcast might just be the competitive edge that you've been searching for. Welcome to this week's Affiliate Marketing Podcast with me, your host, Lee-Ann Johnstone. And today I'm super excited because I've got none other than Heather Murray, who is currently hot and top of the pops in terms of AI. And I know all of you listeners out there are wanting to get your head around it. So we have invited Heather onto the podcast this week to talk about AI, to talk about how to leverage it into your business. And I'm just super excited to have you here, Heather.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me on, Lee-Ann.
So let's get into it. I mean, before we get going, I always like my guests to tell all of our listeners a little bit about like who you are, what you're doing, and how you landed up running your business and being here on the podcast today.
Yeah, sure. So I used to I'm a marketer. I've spent 20 years in marketing in various different forms, in big corporates and in small agencies, got a marketing degree, all of that sort of stuff. But actually, I was running my own agency and I accidentally stumbled across an AI tool. It was something called Crystal Knows. It was an ability to analyze people's personalities for high ticket leads. And I ended up creating $75 million worth of revenue off the back of this super high ticket. And that made me go, what is this AI thing? I'm very interested in this. How could a small agency like mine get results like that? We weren't charging anywhere near enough at the time as well. But it kind of got me into what is AI. This was way before ChatGPT or anything like that. And I started to keep an ear to the ground. And then ChatGPT came out end of November 2022. I was really quick off the mark, which is unusual for me because I'm not an innovator. I'm not an early adopter normally. So this whole new tech world, very different to what I'm used to. I never have the latest phone or anything like that. And I saw this thing and I had 2 thoughts. The first thought was, this is going to kill my agency. I had a copywriting agency and I thought, wow, this is going to take a big chunk off us. How are we going to survive? And the second thought was, I'm at the beginning of something now. How often are you at the beginning of something major? And I think I don't know anybody else that knows about this yet. So I thought, right, I'm going to spend as much time as I possibly can learning everything about this from a non-technical perspective. That's initially, it was straight away what I knew. I knew I didn't want to learn to code. I knew I wanted to see what this could do. And I already knew I got results from it without knowing how to code. So I just spent hours and hours every day. I still spend hours every day learning, reading, trying to break things, prompting and figuring out how this thing works, and then just sharing my experiences. And that's where I am, how I got to where I am today.
And I kind of love that story because that's kind of how I got into affiliate marketing 25 years ago and how I am still learning affiliate marketing 25 years later. So, you know, and the second thing I loved about that story is everybody is feeling a little bit concerned about what is AI, how do I use it, is it going to, take my job away? And I love the fact that you just went like head first into it and just went like, yeah, I'm going to go and kind of like immerse myself in it, because a lot of people right now are going, do I spend the time and immerse myself in this, or is it just going to be a fad, or Is it just a supplementary thing that I'm going to like have to start to learn various AI tools in order to do my marketing job properly? And early adoption, I mean, even if we rewind the clock 25 years back for people that are listening who weren't there at the beginning like I was, we all had to do that. We all had to adopt new channels. Think about, when I remember when Facebook came out, everybody was like, what is this Facebook? What is a social media channel? And now it's like an integral part of everything that we do in terms of, content, marketing, all of those things. So I want to start there first. And I want to say to everybody listening, this is not going to be a podcast telling you exactly what to do with AI, but it is going to be a podcast that's going to give you some tips. And it's also a podcast that you should be listening to and taking heed of, because if you want to move forward in digital marketing, AI is going to become a part of that. And, that's why I'm bringing people like you onto the podcast who have kind of rushed head first, been an early adopter, and are now starting to figure out, how do I leverage it? Because it's one thing to understand what it is and what it does, but it's like a totally different thing to go, how do I use it? And that's why I've brought you onto the podcast, because you're actually figuring that out right now. So let's talk about best use cases for AI in marketing. Now, considering that we're speaking to two different segments on this podcast, one is a whole bunch of publishers who are launching their businesses and trying to drive traffic. But the other is the affiliate managers that are trying to manage all of those publishers in programs. So talk to us a little bit about where you've seen some standout examples of how AI is starting to infiltrate into the marketing channel, should I say, but in particular to these two audiences.
Yeah, I think the ability, one of the main things, and the things that people are probably most aware of, is the ability to create content quickly now. So instead of having to come up with an idea and then send it off to a designer, we can now create actually a whole band, not the top stuff, but a whole band of stuff ourselves now. If we have a concept, we can type a couple of words into a machine that costs us £20 a month, and we can get an absolutely amazing image back. We've never been able to do that before. That's completely fresh. Things like, again, the kind of lower band of written content for beginners. You can actually get very good written content, but there's a learning curve to get there. I think a lot of people that say about AI generated content being poor, they don't know how to prompt yet. When you know how to prompt, trust me, you can get really good quality content, indistinguishable from a good human.
Okay, so I'm going to go off piste here now, because one of the big things that's at the top of my mind, a lot of affiliate managers are really, really, really poor at writing good outreach emails to get affiliates to answer them. Okay. And today and the only reason why I'm asking you this is because literally before I got on this podcast with you, I got an email from an affiliate manager. It was like 6 reams of paper long, War and Peace, telling me all about their business, telling me all about their stuff. And it was literally cookie cutter. I could tell that it was cut and paste. Yeah. It was not relevant to my business. It was not good. Now, if you can write content now with AI, there should be no excuse for that kind of thing happening. So maybe can you talk to us a little bit about what are some of the easy tips and ways that affiliate managers can use AI tools? And maybe there's 2, ChatGPT, whatever it is that you recommend, to craft and prompt a really great outreach email. Can you maybe just take us through that as a practical example? Because I think that's going to be incredibly relevant.
Absolutely. So there's kind of the prompting properly side. In fact, let's start with the right tool. If you're using ChatGPT to write the email, you're using the wrong tool. ChatGPT is not good at written copy. Claude is the one that you want. So the different chatbots, we have the likes of Claude, Copilot, Gemini, DeepSeek, we have all these different things, and they all have different skills, different things they're best at. ChatGPT is amazing at innovative features. It's amazing at data and research. It's got the internet. Not all of them have the internet. But if you're looking to create decent copy, Claude is the one by miles that stands out. So first of all, picking the right chatbot. And when they're £20 a month each, you can afford to have 2 with the output that you can get from them. And always the paid ones as well, because you just don't have enough use with the free ones. So pick the right tool. Learning how to prompt would be the next stage. So I have and I'll try and describe this as best I can. So it's called the 3 C's framework, and it's something that I devised, and it's how I recommend people prompt. So the first of the 3 C's is character. Give your chatbot a character. It might be a job title. It might be, in fact, usually is a job title. Give them skills. Describe the best possible person to do this task. So if you're writing a blog, it might be an expert blog writer with 20 years experience in your specific industry, with a keen eye for detail, and just describe that person. Imagine if you were to hire a human for the job, what would be the job title? What would be their skill set? What would be their background? What would be their specialized areas? Describe that person. And you can do that in every prompt by saying, act as you are in this prompt. It doesn't really matter what words you are, as long as you're clearly setting a character. That is very, very important, because it has this huge data set, this huge big brain full of knowledge, and giving it a character allows it to start drawing from the right shelf and start getting the specific information that you want. So it's assuming that role, and you'll start to get the right stuff. So that's
I got a question. I got a question on that, because I've been trying to, everybody's using ChatGPT, me included, just to see how it works. How about making yourself the character? So if you describe yourself, because obviously you want your outreach email to be really authentic. What's the danger in doing that? Because a lot of people are also worried about how much information do I give this AI bot, and can other people access that information when I put it in? Because could somebody actually replicate Lee-Ann? That's my biggest fear. Is oh my goodness, what happens if somebody tries to approach somebody else and acts as if they are me?
They could technically. I think so. First of all, from a data protection point of view, using certain subscriptions within these chatbots protects you so much more. So first of all, free ones, you're never, ever protected. If the product is free, you are the product. Whatever you type in could come out on somebody else's response. Now you have a whole other layer, which is the $20 a month-ish range, which are designed for individuals. You get some protection there, but not entirely full. It's the level up from that you want. That's your enterprise-grade security level. It's generally called Teams, and you generally will have to have more than one license. So for GPT Teams, it's a minimum of 2. So it's not, and they're about $30 a month each. So if you're using it a lot, again, that is a very small amount for what you can achieve, but that's where you get your privacy. But when you're saying about somebody being able to mimic you, if you have lots of content available in the public domain, people absolutely could. So in the same way, if I wanted to mimic Alex Hormozi's style, for example, I could just go and I could download a version of his book. I could copy a load of his social posts and say to AI, mimic this, and it's going to do a good job, which actually brings me to the second C, which is context. So context, if you do even one of these, just the context is the most important one. And this is give it the same information you would give to a human to do a good job. So you've given it a character. Say you've got a brand new person join the business, super enthusiastic, super energetic, really intelligent, but they've never worked for you before. They know roughly what they're doing, but they need guidance. If they were to write a blog for you, you would give them your tone of voice guide. You'd give them details of the audience. You'd give them details of what you do as a service or as a product. You would give them examples of blogs that are done well in the past. All of that information AI needs as well. So when people say, write me a blog on X, they're going to get the most generic blog ever. If they say, act as a copywriter with decades of experience in my area, write me a blog on X, here's my tone of voice guide, here's the audience, here's our marketing strategy, here's all that information, you're going to get a much, much better result. And when I'm talking about examples, AI is an excellent mimic. It's unbelievable, way better than a human can describe what they want. So take, for example, tone of voice. All humans use the same sort of pool of words. They pick from around about 30 words. Everyone wants to sound professional, helpful, clear, all of that. We all use the same words. So actually, we're all going to get the same sort of result. But if we gave it a couple of documents full of examples of our writing, AI will be able to scan that and see patterns, because that's what it does. That's how it works. Hundreds of thousands of patterns in your syntax, in your approach, in your perspective, in your language. We can't possibly describe that. So giving examples of best practice, giving examples of what good looks like is the best possible thing you can do. So I want this, and I want it to be like this. So whether it's something that you've done in the past, whether it's something your competitors have done, whether it's just something you've got from a lead magnet, you think this is really good. So in this example, emails, an example of a good email. So you need to be able to recognize what good looks like. That's a big problem. So if you don't know what a good email looks like, then you're a bit stuck because you can't mimic anything and you can't describe it either. So this is where AI in the hands of the expert comes, this is why a copywriter can write a really good prompt, because they can describe what good looks like and they can find examples of really good versions.
So I want to challenge affiliate managers listening to this now. Go and ask your affiliates what emails they tend to respond to.
Yes.
Go and ask your existing affiliates which emails they actually respond to and why, and pick that information out of them so that you can add it to your prompt and create a really good outreach email. Because there is, I want to eradicate this in the industry. I want to use this podcast to just eradicate really poor cold call outreach emails being sent out to affiliate partners, because you're wasting your time, you're wasting their time, you're not representing your affiliate program properly or your brand properly. And there's no need to be doing that anymore because we've got AI. So we've talked about character, which is the first C, and we've talked about tools, which is, really, really important. So Claude being the better one. Why Claude, by the way?
It's known as a human sounding one. It's developed for copywriters. It's a creative one. They've eliminated, and I've been trying to work out exactly what it is, but they appear to have eliminated the very common AI generated words, which are sort of flowery sort of language, and the flow is indistinct. You have a conversation with it, it sounds like it understands what you mean. Its level of comprehension is incredibly high. I'm just finishing off those 3 C's before I forget, actually, because I'll end up going down another path. So we've got character, we've got context. So that is your context, is the information needs to do a good job, including information on the person. Don't forget information on the person or the company that you're going for. You can add websites, you can download
Very
things,
important.
profiles, all of that. You can write perfect stuff. And then the third C is a bit more broad, which is clarity. So be really clear in your instructions. Ask for very, very specific things. Don't just say, I want a blog. Just say, I want a 500-word blog, and it needs to have a really powerful title containing emotive words and power words. I want it to have sections, very clear sections. I need it to be guiding people towards this. You are describing a good prompt is at least half a page long for content generally. If you're writing an email, I'd expect that prompt to be half an A4 page to an A4 page long, with 3 or 4 documents being attached. That is how you get the good stuff. And I know that takes a while to write, but once you've got that right, that is infinitely scalable. You've got this recipe for amazing emails. All you need to do is swap in and out the audience info or the product info or service or whatever it is that you're promoting, and then it's there and good to go. And you can share it with people, share it with your team, and they can create those emails as well. So a lot of people with prompting think it's as easy as Googling. So they want to open ChatGPT, they want to type in a few words, and they want to get something quickly back. That's not how it works. It can work that way, but you get very poor responses. It is about taking time to write the prompts, taking time to gather the right data, to feed its brain so it has the right information. And then you get the really, really good stuff.
So follow the 3 C's. Just listen to the advice that Heather's given you to do prompting. And I challenge you all listening to this podcast this week to go and write a killer outreach email. And then I want you all to come back to me on LinkedIn and tell me, how did it work for you? Because I really want to hear if using these tools is making a difference to the way that we run affiliate recruitment. And if many people in my community are going to try it and try the 3 C's, then we can hear whether that's actually working back. So I really want to thank you for that mini little tiny teach here, but I want to get on with the podcast. So let's talk what people are worried about is like, can AI actually replace my job?
Yeah, and of course they're worried about it. And I think you've got to be realistic. I think if I think back to some of the jobs I've done before in marketing, they don't exist anymore. I used to be an audio secretary. My job was to take court cases, listen to them, type them out. That job doesn't exist at all anymore. I used to one of my jobs was scanning in the post and doing the faxes on the machines. That doesn't exist anymore. They've both been replaced by technology. It's a natural way of being. But at both of those times, social media didn't exist. So I would have naturally moved. I think I did naturally move into being a marketing assistant, and I'd run the socials for people. So where one thing disappears, another thing tends to arrive. But at the moment, and I can't speak for the future, but right now it absolutely can't replace a human. It needs a human to operate it. Like we've just said, you need to be able to describe what good looks like. You need to see it the other side. And it's got a ton of limitations. It is biased. It can hallucinate. It makes stuff up.
And you need to know that that's happening. Like, so you really do need to be an expert in your own field before you start looking at AI to shortchange your own skill set. Because you need to know when it's talking nonsense.
Yes, exactly. So it worries me when I've had business owners come to me and say, I don't need a copywriter, I'll just use AI. And I think, well, you as a non-copywriter is going to describe, you can't possibly do that. And how will you know whether it's any good? And how will you know if it's lying, if it's done something? Because sometimes you might get an entire chunk that is completely incorrect, and you get a level of bias runs through it a lot as well. It's a very biased data set, its brain, so it can be very prejudiced or seen prejudiced in its results as well too. You need this thing called a human in the loop. A human needs to be operating it. But as you were saying about kind of efficiencies, and actually before I talk about that, I want to say it is a lot of people worry that it is there to take over every element, and so I have loads of copywriters coming to me going, why should my writing so much better than AI? And I always want to reply back and say, it's not to, if you are good at writing and you enjoy writing, why should you use AI for it? It's for the bits that you don't enjoy. It's for checking your emails. It's for planning your
grammar,
day, recording your call, your grammar, having a second pair of eyes. You replace the bits that you want to replace so that you're free to do more of the stuff that you enjoy. That's what it's for. It's not here to replace everything. But things like with productivity, one of my favorites is my AI note taker. Follows me into every single call that I have. And for those who haven't heard of them, because actually I always think people have heard of them, but they've not, is it will record a transcript of what you say and it will analyze that transcript. So you end up with two kind of things. A verbatim transcript, which is much more valuable than you might think. And then you have an overview, you have next steps that have been spoken about, you have deductions from the call. So what were their challenges and problems? What does it recommend you do next in the call? There's such a really good analysis. But you can take that verbatim transcript and run it through something like Claude or ChatGPT and analyze it further. So I will say, for example, we'll have a sales call, and then I'll download the transcript of that sales call, ask Claude and say, act as an expert sales consultant with decades in emerging technology. Analyze this sales call using tried and tested frameworks and methodologies. Tell me what I did well, tell me what I need to improve, and tell me what I should put in my proposal for this client. And then you can even generate a proposal for me. And this is a really bespoke proposal that can then go through. So we can extract every detail from that. And it saves me hours and hours every single day doing that thing.
So I love that, because from an affiliate manager's perspective, one, you can upload the notes into your affiliate CRM and you can keep track of who's talking to who about what. Two, you can actually send follow-up notes and actions afterwards. So you can be extremely organized, helping your affiliate to stay organized and know what they need to be delivering. And three, you can use it as a training tool, because you can actually, if you've got a team of affiliate managers that are working under you, you can actually give them feedback on their sales calls, even though you're not in the call.
Yeah, exactly that. And it's pretty incredible. It really works for building client relationships as well. So calls can extract, the bit of the conversation where you're talking about, your journey to what the weather's like in your area, your children's birthday party, you've got a new dog, whatever it is, the human bit of the conversation before we nip onto the professional stuff. AI can extract that for you too. So the next time you speak to that person, you say, oh, how's the dog? How's Rover the dog settling in? Or, I had a client, big brand client, and she said in a call, and it was recorded, that she'd fallen over, she'd broken her wrist, and she was helping her daughter move into a dorm in college. And then I said, next time, oh, how are you healing? And later on, oh, has your daughter settled in yet? It really brings that high ticket client relationship. It nurtures it. It makes them feel really, really special. And actually, this is AI aiding you in order to do that. So it's that bit that a very, very top end person would have remembered. They mentioned about birthday. But, we can't always remember everything. AI helps us to do that as well. So that's just with one tool.
What's the one that you use?
I use Circleback at the moment. Circleback, because of its security. I think it's very secure, and the quality of its notes. So you'll find there are lots of different ones. There's Otter, Firefly, so many different ones. I find that its ability to spell out names and products, the Circleback is much, much better at that. So you get less mistakes. And then its overview of what you spoke about is very intelligent too. Its tagline is unbelievably good notes or something like that. And it really is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about caution and liability, because that's another big thing that people are thinking about is, and I voiced it earlier on in this episode, how safe and secure do you need to be? So what's the current legal ramifications on AI tools? I mean, are you responsible for whatever it generates? The backstops with you to make sure that what you put out there is read, edited, not biased, not, politically incorrect or whatever it is that you're saying? Or, what's the general rule of thumb on AI? Because a lot of different governments have got a lot of different opinions.
Yeah, no, it's a Wild West at the moment. There's nothing set in stone. I think people have their own internal AI policies, and I think eliminating bias and eliminating those hallucinations should absolutely be core to those. It's on a company by company basis right now. But you need to be aware of its limitations. First of all, you need to have that human in the loop. As I say, so you need to have that quality control. Otherwise, you could end up with really poor content. Then at worst, with misinformation and propagating everywhere. So it's really, really important to be aware of those limitations. And when it comes to who owns what, that's an area that I've been very interested in, because a lot of people ask me. So I've spoken to a tech lawyer in depth about this, and of course his answer was it depends. But generally, in most countries, you can't have a copyright unless it has a human author, and AI will never qualify as a human author. In the UK, there's some blurriness with that. You can technically get a copyright with a non-human author, but it's in very rare cases. So most of the time, you won't be able to copyright what you've created. That's really important to know. But on the flip side, if you really wanted to be absolutely thorough and really fastidious and really ethical with your AI use, it's not actually possible to attribute the people that have so say you create an image, that image has been generated using hundreds of thousands of other images. But because the way these programs are created, we can't, even if we wanted to list all 100,000, we actually can't do that. So we are in a really strange spot as humans using this AI, because we can't attribute it and we can't copyright it. So we're somewhere in the middle at the moment. So we don't own it and we can't say who does own it. So everybody's just kind of going, oh, what do we do? I think the way that people are getting around it is transparency, saying I used AI to create this image. I think that will pass pretty soon, because we don't say, for example, I use the internet to research this. You just say, I researched this. The internet is implied. And I think that's where we're going to get to. So I think we need to kind of focus on results in AI. It's not how you did it. It's the fact that you got a good result at the end. It doesn't matter whether I use the internet or whether I did it manually or whether I used AI to do it. As long as the result is good and it's achieving what we want it to achieve, does it truly matter how we did that? So I think that's where we're going to go, I think.
Okay, so let's talk about the future, because early adoption is key now. Like, my mind is made up. We need to adopt it. We need to start looking at it. We need to think about how we want to leverage it, even if it's just in small areas of our businesses or in our day-to-day tasks. But what pieces of advice can you give to people listening to this who now want to take a step forward and actually start looking at this? Where do they begin? Like, I know you've got an amazing membership, so, by all means, go check out Heather's membership. We'll put a link to it in the blog transcribe. But because it's overwhelming. It's like going into a room with paint choices all across one wall and being told to go choose a paint color. Yeah. You just kind of stand there frozen at the wall and you don't really know what to do, which I think is how a lot of people are feeling about AI. So what would you recommend people do? Like, what's the first starting point? How do they get going? Where do they go to from here if they're interested in finding out more?
Yeah, so I think the reason people feel overwhelmed is this kind of tech centricity, this, oh, look at all these shiny new tools. Which one do I use? And they're starting with the tool itself. That's where they're going wrong. You should be starting with your own. So look inside and don't even ignore the technology to begin with. You think about your goals. Where do you want to be? Where do you want your business to be? And then write those down. Then write down your blockers. What's stopping you from getting there? Those blockers need to be matched up to AI tools. So you're starting with your own use cases. The very first place for everybody needs an AI chatbot, one of them. If you're a bit more in the kind of content creation side, written content, Claude is going to be the one. If you're a bit more in the research and analytics side, it's probably going to be ChatGPT. Gemini is coming up on there as a bit of an all-rounder because it's Google and they've got loads of data, and I think they're the one to watch at the moment. And then we've got all sorts of different new ones, but yeah, learning about LLMs and what they can do, the differences between them is a very, very crucial part, because you'll begin with an LLM. You can achieve an unbelievable amount with one $20 a month LLM AI chatbot. So with Claude, I use that every single day for 50 different ways, parts of my workflow. With that alone, I could double my revenue using it very cleverly. So think about, your goals, your blockers, and then think about how many of those blockers can a chatbot help you with. Chances are it's a hell of a lot of them. Then when you've got through those, you're going to start to look at specific AI tools for specific reasons. So a chatbot might not necessarily be able to record your calls like an AI note taker can. So you might need a specific AI note taker. I think the tough bit at the moment is not the kind of there's so many tools out, it's which ones are best for my use case. And to kind of narrowly focus, ignore all the noise, ignore the kind of, wow, DeepSeek is out, or all these sorts of things. Start at the beginning, start with your chatbot and just think about all the different ways that chatbot can help tick off those blockers for you. All those quick wins, more strategic projects, you will be bowled over by how much this one chatbot can do, and then learn to prompt that chatbot. So goals, blockers, chatbot, and learn to prompt it properly. Take the time to learn to prompt properly, because that's where the good stuff is.
The tool is only as good as what it does. It's the human operating the tool that actually makes the difference, right? And that's, I think, the key point that I want to end this podcast off on, is that your job is secure.
Yeah.
And especially in affiliate marketing, because it is still very much a people-led business. Like, you need to build relationships, be authentic. So if you take nothing away from this episode this week, go and learn the 3 C's, go find an LLM that you want to be kind of connecting to, whether it's Claude, ChatGPT, whichever one you feel most comfortable with, Gemini, whatever it is, and go and test it. That's like the basics of how to get started. Go and test it, use it in your outreach emails, use it as a note taker, get a little bit of efficiency going in your team, see how you can leverage it for training. I think those are exceptionally good ways to just get started. To wrap up today's episode, because we are coming to the end of our time together, what is the one thing that you want to leave our audience with? Like, what's the one tip or piece of advice that you've just discovered recently after all of this time using, AI in many different ways within your own business? What's one piece of advice that you can leave people with?
I would say I would really encourage people to play. I learn everything I know from playing, from trying to test its boundaries. You can't break it. As long as you're cautious about not putting anything confidential in, just ask it questions. I discover new things every single day by going, I wonder if it can do this. Type something in. I'll be walking down the street, walking the dog, and then I'll type something and go, oh, wow, I didn't realize it could do that. Just play, talk to it. If you're very new and you've never used a chatbot before, say, hi, how are you? Just say that, see how it responds back. Don't be scared of these tools. They're very intuitive. They operate conversationally. You don't need to know commands or language or anything like that. It's a magical thing, and it can be incredibly not just helpful in efficiency, but it can really be supportive and encouraging and motivating. It's a bizarre thing that, it can be so many different things for you inside work, outside of work. It can help you in so many ways, and you'll feel very fondly towards it quite quickly because it makes your life so much easier. So play, but play safely would be my advice.
Yeah, and do it with a paid LLM because you want it to be secure. Heather, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast this week. I mean, it has just been packed with useful, practical advice. My challenge to everybody listening to this is please stop sending cold call outreach emails that are just a waste of time and money. Start using these AIs to get a little bit more creative in terms of what you want to say to people. Tailor your content, tailor your outreach, make affiliates really take notice of you. Content writing isn't everybody's skill, but you can actually leverage these tools to make you better at what you currently already do and get your foot in the door and start having those meetings and building those relationships, which is a big part of what account managers have to do. So it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast. And I'm sorry I went off script and made you do a mini tiny teach, but I think it worked quite well.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, Lee-Ann. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Looking to level up your affiliate program management skills? Join the Affiliate Manager Performance Program, or AMP as we call it, a 12-week mastermind for affiliate program managers. Whether you're a new affiliate account executive just joining the industry or an affiliate manager, the AMP Mastermind offers 12 weeks of insightful video tips, tactics, and strategies designed to help you elevate your affiliate program growth. From optimizing your outbound affiliate recruitment and program management tactics that have supported million-dollar programs to scale, you'll get inside access to resources, tools, tips, and cheat sheets that will help your affiliate program scale. Access on-demand tutorials each week, coupled with regular virtual Ask Me Anything sessions and a host of other practical resources. You'll fast-track your skills and learn with peers what works in affiliate program management and how to practically apply that to your program or industry. Head on over to affiversemedia.com AMPP to join our AMP cohort today.